What's going on today, Internet? Selfish here with Retrospect. We're going to take a quick look at Anbernic's newest flagship handheld, the RG556, a device that was mostly written off by enthusiasts before it was even in reviewers' hands. Let's find out if they were right. Packages like these that immediately put me on my mailman's watch list. Not exactly what they think they are. All right, here we go. We have the device itself. Ooh, that's a nice box. Got that inlay on it. I like that they went to silver instead of gold. I like the silver a lot more. And the infamous, wait for it, Versace case. That's right, the Anbernic Versace looking case we got here. Whew, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know why people keep saying Gucci. It looks more like Versace or Armani, or maybe Armani, Versace. I like the Versace. We're gonna take a look and see what this is all about. Like I said, there is the inlay on the box. This tells us what of the two colors we got. We did get a transparent blue one. Ooh, my voice cracked. We did get a transparent blue one. Years old, my voice is cracking. What the f is going on here? Take a look inside of here. We did get a screen cover. Very nice. With wipes, everything. It does have a memory card, 128. I already put it in the device. We're kind of doing a reverse unboxing here. There is a Type-C cable in here for charging. You can just take my word for it. I'm not sure why I didn't put the screen cover on yet. And some paper with a whole lot of words not in English. Oop. Oh, good. We have English words, too. So some paper with some words on it. Awesome. And here she is with her nice little thing on top. There she is in all of her glory, the transparent blue Anbernic RG556. I do really actually like this color. This is an extremely comfortable handheld. All right, let's take a look at the I/O here real quick like we always do. We'll start at the top. We do have a vent for cooling. This is going to be your exhale vent for when it's cooling. It's going to blow your air out through here. It does have a fan inside with active cooling, as you can see right here. It also has a heat pipe that runs through it to keep it cool, which I'm thinking does more than the fan. We'll talk more about that. Right here, we do have a volume rocker right here, and we do have our power switch. We do here have our shoulder buttons. They are clicky. This does have Hall triggers on it, which is beautiful. They're right up there with some of my favorite triggers on a device, so they're right there. Here on the back, we have a whole lot of nothing other than your intake versus your exhaust, and Anbernic nicely labeled on the back here. Glad they stopped putting stuff on the screens. Much prefer it on the back like this. There's not a lot to look at in this clear model, unfortunately. You know, the more I look at it, the less there is to look at. Really interesting. And you do also have, obviously, these bumps for ergonomics. Back here to the bottom, I guess we might as well go. There's nothing on the left or right sides. So on the bottom here, we do have a headphone hole. We also have a Type-C hole right here. And then we do have a micro SD hole right over here with a little hole cover. I like the covers, just you don't have to worry about the cards popping out. Always nice. Now, we do have some interesting face buttons here. So sort of, I guess. We'll start with start and select, or down here in the lower right corner. It throws me off when they're both on the same side. I feel like they need to be separated. I don't know if that's because I played Switch so much, but I do feel like they need to be separated. Over here, we do have our home and our back button. Home is holding it down and then back. And then we do have our Anbernic key, and I don't think you can probably see this in the video. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. It actually is the Anbernic logo, and that's going to go to their front end. So that's going to be like the home key for the Anbernic front end right there. Really cool button. They did a good job. I haven't seen them do that before. I do wish, though, that it was a function button, or we could turn it into one, as I always do when I do these devices. I don't use the Anbernic front end just because I'm a big fan of Daijishu, and they're both about equally as lengthy to set up. We do have our face buttons, our ABXY. These feel like the exact same ones of the 35XX series. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure these are the same face buttons that they put on those. This here is a new D-pad, and it is different than any of the other D-pads that I've played with Anbernic before, I think. It might be new altogether. It does feel like it's going to have an issue with diagonals. It doesn't, though. Or in fighting games, you're going to have a hard time. It's like an 8-way D-pad. Here is our Hall effect sensors. Now, these aren't the best Hall effect sensors I've ever used. I think these are the same ones they've used in the past. They're just not great. They're okay. They're okay. They're just not very good. They have a lot of cardinal snapping, and I was trying to figure out how to approach this because for some reason, like, I really tried to see how this is going to affect my gameplay and try to compare it to the AYN Odin and the Hall effect sensors on there, and I play the same game on both, and I didn't notice a difference as long as I was playing like PS2 games. Even Wii and Nintendo Switch games, never noticed. And I think the thing is that any game that you could play with the D-pad more or less, it doesn't cardinal snap, but it more or less has the same effect where it's just going directly back to zero. And I feel like it's more or less just acting like a D-pad, if that tracks. Now, it is hard in like a first-person shooter sometimes to play with a D-pad, obviously, and most first-person shooters use a D-pad for other keys. I don't really find it hard to play with. It's a little annoying that it does it in some things that are more precise, maybe in the aiming part with the first-person shooter, but it's not that bad. Most of these are going to have auto-aim you anyways, whether you want them to or not. I know people are making a big deal out of it. I actually was going to switch them out, and I think I'm going to keep them for now unless you guys want to see them get switched. And in that case, I will throw some of my Hall effects in here. I've got so many of them, we could do it pretty easily. So if anybody wants me to put different Halls in here, let me know. But I think for the time being, I'm going to keep them because it doesn't really bother me. I don't really notice it. And if you want somebody else's opinion on it, everybody else had the opposite feel. So go check out what they have to say. Now, this card they did send me is a 128 gig card. I didn't use it at all. I made my own card, so we're just going to put in a 1 terabyte card instead. This gave me a little bit more availability with PS2 games and things like that, just because that is kind of the route everybody wants to go on this. And this one actually does go the right direction, and I keep forgetting that. Very, very rare that you get a card that actually goes upwards like a US manufactured devices would go when you get it from China. So we are going to fire this thing up, and we are going to take a look at a few things here. I only did put a couple of 3DS games on, which I actually took off of this card at the time. I had both of them in my computer just to see what was on here. There's a lot of good content on this card, so don't get me wrong. This might be the way to go for most people. It just didn't have a lot of the higher end content that I wanted. So, but it did have some lower end systems that I don't typically play, and I've caught myself playing them. So there's definitely some good stuff there. So this would typically load into an Android window, but I have mine set up for Daijishu. That's what we're going to do. I'm just going to test out a couple of things here, a couple games quick for you, and then we'll go over some other things. But before we do that, let's go over a couple things we do know about this device right off the bat. We'll throw it up on the screen over here for you. We're obviously looking at the Anbernic RG556, and thank you, Anbernic, for giving us a device that's really easy to say. And I keep screwing it up anyways, because I think it should be more complicated than it really is. And the bell of the ball on this bad boy is the 5.48, not 5.5, 5.48 inch AMOLED screen, which is absolutely phenomenal. You can get devices that have an OLED screen, and sometimes they suck, and sometimes they're good. And in this case, it is really good. This is one of the best AMOLED screens I've ever used. So we're going to go over the rest of the specs here real quick, and just make sure that you guys are up to date with everything about this device. So this is the RG556, as I've said 3 times already. It has Android 13 as the operating system. It does have the Unisoc T820 chip in it, versus last year's big chip to be used in the headlining devices was the Unisoc T618 chip. There's a quad-core Mali G57 GPU at 850 hertz, 8 gigs of LPDDR4X RAM. Again, that screen is 5.48. It is 1920 by 1080. It has Hall effect joysticks and triggers with a 5500 milliamp battery, which you should get about 3 to 4 hours of more intense gameplay. They say 15 hours, not a chance. You might get 8 to 10 if you're playing some lighter duty stuff, but I would say 3 to 4 on some heavier stuff. It has Bluetooth 5.0 and Wi-Fi 5. Why they didn't go with Wi-Fi 6 is beyond me. It might have just been another area where they're trying to cut costs, but there is some opportunity there for that. Granted, Wi-Fi 5 is very stable, and in my house, and hopefully yours, it works phenomenally, and I haven't had any issues doing any kind of streaming with this device. We're going to take that for what it is. Pricing on these is usually around 190 bucks-ish, give or take. I have seen some sales on it already. We always had the sale at the beginning for the pre-sale, and then I've seen some sales from Anbernic on their AliExpress page. I'd probably watch there before I watched Anbernic's website. Seems like they're mostly doing sales on their official AliExpress page right now for this device, so I would take a look there if that's something you're looking for. So everybody wants this to be like this PS2 all-in game killer. So we're going to just get the elephant out of the room right now. This cannot play perfectly every PS2 game ever to hit the market. Neither can my Odin. So if you want a sub $200 device that can play every single PS2 game, it's not going to happen. That was the biggest argument when this came out. It's not going to be powerful enough to play PS2. It's plenty powerful to play PS2, without a doubt. It probably plays 90% of the library without a hitch, where the Odin probably plays 95 to 98% of the library without a hitch. You got to remember there's 4,000 plus titles on the PS2. Some of those games didn't run very well on the PS2. And then you got to add a couple other variables in here, where this just can't power through it, which I know is what people are getting at, where like the Retro Pocket 4 Pro has a little bit more power, so it can power through maybe a few more games than this possibly can, and the Odin obviously more than either of them. Not just the powering through. One of the biggest issues, we're running an emulator that hasn't been updated in over a year on Android with Aether SX2, or even if you go to Aether SX2, you're running an incomplete emulator. It's as complete as it's going to ever get. Now, there are forks out there that are working on trying to improve it. One person had the dream, so everybody else is playing catch up. So it's going to be a while before that emulator really gets to a point where it's going to be able to play some of these harder to play titles. It's going to take a while. And those are some of those titles where even on the Odin, but you're not playing above 1x on some of those titles. So the other part is some of those games, like I said before, are really just hard to play even on a PS2. We need to leave that out there. An emulator that is the equivalent of a PS2. We're probably not going to see that. I got a couple other things I want to go over, but we will do that in real time while I'm playing some games. So the first thing I want to try, this does have a Type-C port with display out. So we're going to test and see if the Type-C port really does work with display out. And if it does, I'm going to do some of the demos on there versus doing them on the handheld. Granted, then you miss the beauty of the handheld, but OLEDs are so hard to film that you might even be seeing weird lines right now just on the screen, the way that OLEDs are made. So I'm going to hook it up and see if we can't get that to work and get my recording card to work. If it doesn't, then we'll just play it like this. But I think you're going to get better. I'm going to get better quality watching the device, but you are going to get better quality watching the screen. Let's give it a shot and see how this works. So we are hooking up.
Hello, Internet people. This is Retro Baby. If you are not aware, I am the lead editor here over at Retrospect. So I'm just popping in to let you know that because of this little stick thingy and an Apple update on the iPad, that we're running into some issues with transferring over some footage. I promise I'm working very diligently right now to try to get this issue fixed. But I don't have the footage yet, so just pretend it's in the rest of this video. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye, Internet.
Just trying to see. Oh, we're running one-time resolution. Let's try 4. Just see what happens, and we'll come back to this if we need to. 4 times resolution on 3DS. Oh yeah, I didn't even change anything as far as the frame count goes. Our frames stayed the same. Well, that gives you a little bit of an idea of some 3DS action here with Rayman. I'm not sure if this is the hardest game to emulate. I know it is on some systems, but I'm not real sure about this system. Let's hope my capture card's working. Otherwise, you guys are going to see some wicked lines on this screen that I don't have to see. Okay, so we're not running this high resolution on this game. I can tell you that right now. This is going way, way too slow. I do think that most 3DS games are 30 frames per second, if I remember right. So correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. See, now we're dipping. Now we're at 20. So let's see what happens when we go back. Oh, yeah, let's do some shader compiling. Maybe we should have done that before we started the game. Okay. Let's try going back to one act a little bit better. Still kind of doing the same thing, but it is a little bit better. It looks great, though. I mean, for just even being 1x resolution on this screen, phenomenal. Part of that's this game's made for this size screen, I suppose, but I'd be the most boring person to have like a Twitch stream playing video games, I think. I spend most of my time yelling at my dogs and trying to keep my daughter quiet. All right, so this is, I mean, it looks pretty good. It is dipping, though. It does get some hiccups, so if that's going to bother you, then this might not be for you. To me, it doesn't so far seem to be happening when it matters. So I think we're probably okay there as far as how I play games, but that's just me. I haven't done any PSP games on here yet. This will be the first time we're going to try this. I'm going to try running this at 4 times resolution, so at a 1080, and see how it works. All right, this is Burnout on PSP, running 4 times resolution at 1080. Wouldn't really need to go any higher than this because it's a 1080 screen. I just got an accident. So you guys are coming in right after my crash and burn. Don't remember what I want to do on this one, but as you can see, it's staying at a solid 30 frames per second. Really just locked in there, and it looks absolutely gorgeous on the screen. There's absolutely no other way I'd want to play this game. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen it look this good. And I'm being completely honest. I don't think I've ever seen this game look this good. This might be my new PSP machine right here if all the other games hold up like this. I don't think I put God of War on my memory card. I usually don't, so we might have got lucky there. I'll double check, but whatever, we'll find out. Okay, so that is what it looks like to play PSP at 4 times resolution on an actual 1080 OLED display, and it looks gorgeous. Can't say much more. I'm a terrible driver. I should get my driver's license revoked again. All right, moving right along. I did put God of War on here. I thought I didn't put it on here, but I did. So we're still on PSP, and we are still at 4 times resolution. So we're going to see if this can hold at a 1080 image here, or if we're going to need to bump her down a bit. I'm going to guess we're going to have to bump it down, but you know what? The internet's not always right. So that's what everybody said before this came out. Okay, so it does lag a little bit. So it's sitting at 54 to 57. We probably could go down to 3 times resolution and really hold it there. If we wanted to hold an even 60. This isn't bugging me yet, which is kind of weird because this game usually drives me nuts when things slow down. I'm not feeling it yet. And I wonder if that's just because I had fast forwarded, so I didn't get all the shaders back. No, it's still doing it. Okay, fine. Oh yeah, now we just dropped down to 30. Wow, that was quite the change. Sorry guys, gotta take a look at some settings here. You guys just stay still in your warring. I'll be right back. Now we're at 3 times resolution. Okay, now it's holding without any problems. Coming for you. I think that's the trick on this one, is going to just be 3 times resolution. It looks better than 4 times resolution on the Retro Pocket 4 Pro. I can tell you that. Just the clarity on here is better. The 4 Pro is really nice. I don't think you can compare the two, honestly. And that was going to be my whole point of this video, is that they aren't the same device at all. And they each have their perks. They each have some things that aren't great about them. This one here really kind of holds its own in its own kind of category, I think. Really hard to compare something when it's in a category of its own. Why can't I get over there? What the crap's going on here? All right, let's go to another game. So we're going to try some PS2 emulation out on here just to get a couple of games, kind of see what it's all about, see how it holds up. I did put a handful of games in here already, so we have some things to try out. We'll do some baby steps. I'll start off with Half-Life. So here we are. We're running Half-Life, 4 times resolution, Vulkan backend on PS2. It looks pretty good. Now we're gonna get a little loading because it's playing on PS2, but you know, that's okay. I think I fell down over there. Fell down, go boom. Oh. That would help. I decided to start playing Half-Life again with this device. If you can tell, I'm starting the game over because dude, I love playing it on here. I did it as a demo just to see what it'd be like, and I'm like, oh, I gotta play it. So we started over. Ow. That hurt. Yep, okay. Yeah, this looks just good. I don't know. For Half-Life, this is doing pretty darn well. Give me my soda. Oh, that's not the soda one. Give me my soda. Like I just pooped that dude out. I don't think I have any bullets left. No, I could grenade him. Don't matter. I don't need him anyways. Oh, he touched me. Yeah, so this is what Half-Life looks like. Running at 4 times resolution. So let's move on from here, huh? So this is going to be fun. So this was actually one of my favorite games growing up, and I had a copy of it that I got from a local game store, and it was just like this in Japanese. So I have no idea what any of the menus say to this date. I know that somebody's gone out and made an English version of this, or like made English menus, but I've never played it. I've never actually been able to find it. If anybody knows where to find it, you should leave it down in the comments, just because I really love to know what it says in all those menus. They're not that important. I've gotten through the game before, but it would be pretty cool. And the reason why I got into this when I was younger is pre-Fast and the Furious, I used to be into building import cars. I worked for Acura Subaru for a while, and then I worked for Honda. So I used to build all these little rockets back in the day, and so this game was kind of like the game to have if you were into that. And we had a local game store that sold these in Japanese, and that wasn't, I mean, I've got a handful of games that are Japanese that wasn't going to hold me down, and all of them are pretty much car games. I think I have one Castlevania game that's in Japanese, which also drives me nuts because I don't know the story of that game. But anyways, this is 4 times resolution here on PS2 with the Anbernic RG556. Just killing it. I just lost my way because I lost my train of thought, and then the dude passed me, but that's okay. But it looks really good. This is maxed out for the screen, obviously. I mean, you might get a little bit more, I don't know, fill-in on textures if you go above 4 times resolution, but I'm saying that you're probably not going to. Again, this is the best I've ever seen this game look. I've got a really nice TV. This just looked awesome, and I think part of that is closer to my face. So, all right, we'll move on to the next one. Now, if we are going to see a struggle, it's going to be with this game right here. Black is one of the hardest games to emulate for some reason, at least in my experience. And maybe it's just because I don't know the settings for it, but it is a tricky one. Yeah, okay, so we're at 15 FPS at 4 times resolution, so we obviously have to change that. I'm going to guess 2. Oh, yeah, I was going to show you guys something else. Okay, before I change this, so we watch our FPS up here in the corner. So we're going to go into performance mode. Fans on auto. We could put cooling on. This fan does get relatively loud, similar to the Retro Pocket 4. This one's a little bit nicer of a noise than the Retro Pocket 4 is. It is a little bit loud. So now we've turned on performance mode, and now we're back in here, and check out the change in our FPS and everything. Nothing's really changed. We're still about 24, 25 FPS. I don't know what the performance mode for here is on, so I ran some benchmarks on it. I didn't want that to be this whole video. There is no indication that it actually makes any changes. So if we go, the only changes I can make are really just by changing it the way we always do. 2 times resolution, Falcon back end. This will be about the closest we can keep her to around 30 frames per second rate. Like I was saying earlier, first-person shooters are really where that cardinal snapping could make a difference. It really doesn't make a lot of difference, but it could make a difference when you're trying to aim in and move around. It just has a little bit, maybe when you're trying to like reload a weapon and get back in, is normally where I notice it the most. So now we just dropped again. So, and now we're in performance mode. So now if we pause this, and we'll go right back out of performance mode, because I don't think we need it. No different. This might be one of those games you want to play at 1x. I don't know. I still see some dip in here at 2x. I was nice enough to drop us a mid pack. We're going to need that later. So I guess this kind of shows it's not great for first person when it comes to the cardinal snapping issue, but it really doesn't matter. The one thing I would say is it almost feels like they're sluggish to move, which you can change. But it feels like they pan slowly, but that's all adjustable. I mean, that's all stuff we can do through the menus and stuff. That's enough of this game. Like I said, one of the hardest games to emulate on here. So this is kind of where it's at, kind of where its benchmark is. I'm going to guess you can't play Ratchet and Clank on here. Turn the damn fan down. I just did it to show it off. We're going to start this one at maybe 2. So this is the only game that I come across that's actually harder to emulate than black. I kind of forgot about this game until I just saw it sitting there, but which is crazy because I love this game, but it is harder than black to emulate. Twice the resolution, still holding pretty close to 60. I mean, I could play it like this. There's going to be some hiccups in here, I feel like. There's just so much going on in this game. Yeah, like there, it just dropped down to 45. There's just so much going on. I'm going to guess, though, if you want to play this without any problems, which the goal right now, right, is to just crush PS2 games. And so let's go, and we'll just put her on regular resolution here. We'll see if she dips on native. I'm going to guess probably not. Oh, that's right. This stupid thing's backward on this game, too. I forgot about that. All right, so we'll see if anything dips here, or if we can hold a more solid 60 than we were before. I already forgot what button I hit before to make it throw my... So now we're here. Yep, so she's holding about 58, 59 for the most part. Nothing terrible. We're not getting a lot of slowdown when we're getting a whole bunch of stuff in the screens, so that's good. And that's kind of the issue with it. On the other end, we're going to try right here where there's just a ton of boxes, if I can get over there. So yeah, so she dropped down a little bit, but if I remember right, this actually dropped down on the PlayStation there for a while too. So, I mean, it's not unplayable. Let's wrap this up real quick and get along with our days, because I definitely have overkicked my video coverage here. Definitely was not trying to make it this long, but I did want to make sure that you got a good feel for what you were and weren't getting into. So some PS2 games are going to be too demanding on this handheld like we discussed. That's every single handheld though, so I don't think that that's the end all of this device. These are not the best analog sticks out there. There are better Hall effect sticks out there. In this case, you might as well not have put Hall effect in just because of the cardinal snapping issue, but then, you know, the sticks aren't going to last as long. So I understand the reasoning. I mean, I would put Hall effect sticks in everything. I probably would stick to some of the more known Hall effect stick brands just because you're not getting that cardinal snapping issue that Anbernic is known for in these. But that being said, in the games that it plays up to titles in like the PS2, not really that big of a deal. It's when you start to get into like, I don't know, emulation on other systems, I'll leave it to you to figure out which ones, but some of these other systems, it's going to make a bigger deal with the cardinal snapping. And does this have the power to play those systems? I would say lightweight games. Yeah. If you can come across those systems, this will play those systems in lightweight. So it's not going to play your heavier titles, but it definitely does fairly well with the lightweight games. Very similar to the RP4 Pro. You know, if you're looking for a device that's sub 200, that can play PS2, PSP, and Dreamcast, stuff like that with minimal effort, this is a good device for that. And comfort, holy cow. These shoulder buttons are some of my favorite. Now, I don't think they're going to be everybody's favorite, and the reason I like these so much is because they're stiffer. A lot of people are not going to like the stiffness of these shoulder buttons. They are pretty stiff, just something to keep in mind. But I do like that they're stacked shoulders. Anbernic is notorious for doing inline shoulders. Doing a stacked shoulder, I think, for this device made sense. It might have made the device more pocketable had they not done a stacked shoulder. I've brought it up before, but I pretty much live in sweatpants, so to me, pretty much every device fits in my pocket. This won't fit in with my Anbersachi case. It will fit my pocket the way it is, but I think with the stacked shoulder buttons, they were forced to do this, right? So they made it already a bump, and then to go ahead and actually make it comfortable. This is one of the most comfortable handhelds I own. I tried to make this happen with my RP4 Pro. I haven't found the one yet, so I have this case for it that actually gives it some of that shelving. The bumps on the back, but then still works as a case. I might have to go to a grip though. I thought that this was going to be enough, but it wasn't. So I kind of wish Retroid would have done the same thing and at least made this extend all the way down. It really wouldn't have added much material or anything to this, but you know, it is what it is. It doesn't do it justice in comparison to having this back on here. One other problem I've been having is that when I'm charging it, it gets up to 76% power and then it just freezes there and it's stuck at 76, and I can play games and stuff on it and it says 76. Then I unplug it and it says 100%. So it's not a big deal because it is getting to 100% charge. So as long as it keeps getting to 100%, I don't really care, but that's a software problem, so I think it's pretty easy to fix. So if Anbernic, if you're watching, that'd be something I'd take a look at. It doesn't always happen, but almost always, and it could be charger dependent. I haven't gone that far into it, but see if you want to try to fix that up so that people know when their device is fully charged, so they're not overcharging or leaving them on the charger when they don't have to. I also don't like, and I'm gonna have an entire video about this coming up at some point because I just don't know how I'm gonna address it, but why is it important to put the headphone jack in the middle? So this 355 hole is right in the middle where this Type-C hole should be in. It's the same with the RP4. It's not as drastic because the device is smaller. They're kind of sitting opposite sides, but the RP4 is still not centered, right? It still sits like that in here. But if you were to try to dock something like this, it looks stupid, right? And it'd be way off to the side. I don't know if these manufacturers don't think that we're gonna dock these devices. I've got custom docks for a lot of my devices just because of this problem right here. It'd be so much easier just to flop these two, put it right in the middle, and then it would have been able to dock. But because of where it is, and because of how fat this little lip is here, it doesn't fit. So you can't even dock it if you wanted to. I much prefer to dock my devices. That way I know they're charging. It's easier. Look at that. Doesn't take any time. Boom. And then I'm already hooked up to HDMI, so if I want to play a game on the screen, I can. dock. Now I know Retroid said they're making a dock for theirs. By the time that it comes out, nobody's going to care anymore. We're probably going to be on the Retroid Pocket 5 Plus, Pro, 5 Pro Plus. They've also made all their devices very similar, so it might actually work because they might be able to continue to use it. I know Odin, with AOIN, this works on both docks. Your more premium devices do put that in the middle. And I don't know why that's so hard for everybody else to do, but that needs to be taken care of. But at the end of the day, I prefer playing this over my RP4 Pro. I love the RP4 Pro, and I love the way it fits in my pocket, especially with that case that I have. It really works well. This is so much more comfortable to play on, and the screen is so much better. And honestly, the library really isn't that different between what the two of them can play. And as tweaks continue to come out for this T820 chip, because this is obviously new to market, where this RP4 Pro is using the chip that the original Odin Lite was using, so it's probably already maxed out to the performance it's going to get to, because that chip was well worked on for the last year. This is a brand new chip to this market, and it has a lot of opportunity. I believe only one phone came out with this chip that bombed, so it really hasn't been used yet, if I remember right. So there is a lot of opportunity there for developers to get in there and just see what they can make out of this. So I think this is a win in my book. I think Anbernic's most powerful device to date is fun, and it's sub 200, and I think that's awesome. So what do you think? Was this one of your wish list items, or items you've been debating whether you want to pick up or not for either your collection or to be your first device? This device does come pretty well set up out of the box if you do use their stock memory card that I didn't use, but I did borrow a couple games off of for this demonstration. I hope that this video helped you out. Let me know down in the comments if it helped you out. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to like this video so it helps the algorithm, and subscribe so you can get updates for when I post videos. They've been a little sporadic lately with the newborn, but they're getting, hopefully I'll have a schedule here soon. If not, then they'll continue to be sporadic, and I will just surprise you in your inbox whenever I have time. But anyways, that's all I got for today. Bye-bye! Hey, thanks for sticking around to the end. I've been a little under the weather lately, so I just haven't got some videos up with kids and everything. You know, being a dad, it takes a lot out of a guy. Glad you guys stuck around here to the end. Do me a favor, if you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. That way I drop into your inbox when I sporadically upload a video. I'm trying to get back on schedule. We'll see what happens. Also, don't forget to hit one of these other videos over here, because the algorithm says that you're going to like it. I'm not sure what it is, but it says that you're going to like it, so hit one of those. All right, I'm out of here. Bye.